It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change your attitude, change your life. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life brings you interviews with some of the most inspirational and influential people in the world. It's our goal to educate and empower you so you can live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. We have another great show for you today. Every once in a while, a book comes along that has a profound impact on your life. A book that can touch your soul. For me, that book is The Shack. The Shack came to me when I really needed it, and it helped me gain clarity about what I was experiencing. This international bestseller has touched many lives and has been made into a major motion picture. Joining me today to talk about the story behind the story is The Shack's author, William Paul Young. Welcome, Paul. Thanks for joining us.
It's great to be with you.
Paul, your book, The Shack, has had such a major impact on my life, and whenever I talk to someone, it seems like this book arrives in someone's hands just when he or she really needs it. So, where did the inspiration for the story come from, and how did the book come to be?
Kim had asked me for a few years if I would put in one place how I think as a gift for our kids. And that's where I started working on this story. You know, it was just an opportunity to put down on paper something in which I was trying to communicate to my children. This is who I now believe to be the character and nature of God. And this is the God that brought healing to me after so many years of believing in a God who required me to please him. And that's how the story came to be. Got it done for Christmas, made 15 copies at Office Depot, gave them to my kids and my friends. And Kim got a copy, and I went back to work. Never even crossed my mind one time, and it never has, to put anything that I've written into actual published form. So total surprise when anything has happened besides. The 15 copies did everything that I wanted it to do, so all the rest of this is God's sense of humor.
Paul, you self-published The Shack, and to show the depth of what you call God's sense of humor, share the story with our listeners of what happened, because this is not common in the world of publishing.
It ended up in the hands, this little first manuscript ended up in the hands of some folks that thought it should be a movie. And that really started the first conversation about actually publishing it. And so, you know, we understood that if you sold 100,000 copies of a novel, Hollywood would talk to you about a film. So that was sort of our benchmark. And we began working toward that end. And so got it ready. Unfortunately, the 26 publishers that we turned it down, the faith-based publishers thought it was too edgy, and the secular publishers thought it had too much Jesus, and so we got stuck in this no man's land, and nobody wanted to publish it. So two guys I know created a publishing company. I finally had a publisher who would publish my book, and we pooled our resources. I had a friend in Gresham, Oregon, who had loaned me some money, and one of the guys had savings, and the other one literally had a Visa and a MasterCard. So we found a printer in Los Angeles. Out of naivete, we ordered 10,000 copies, which usually means, 8,000 in your garage after 2 years. And so we had them all shipped to one of the guy's houses. I put them in his garage. We set up a website, and people began coming to the website and buying these books. They'd buy one, and then 5, and then 10. And the amazing thing is we were not in anybody's system. That is, we weren't in anybody's marketing program, anybody's promotional system. We just were on a website. And in the first 13 months, out of that website and the local printer, a couple storage units, we spent less than $300 in marketing and advertising and shipped over 1 million books, which is miraculous. And I didn't. I'm working in Oregon and working 3 jobs at the time, so I'm kind of out of the loop. And plus, I don't know anything about publishing, so I didn't realize how phenomenally unusual this was. It was all word of mouth. People coming and buying 5, 10 cases, giving them to their friends coming and buying them, and pretty soon we were attracting all kinds of attention. And that really started the ball rolling. Hachette, who's the second largest publisher in the world, came on board with the two guys that own the publishing company, and they opened up the international market. This is unbelievable, miraculous way that God has given a language to so many people to have a conversation about God that's not religious, but relational.
Paul, what does the shack represent to you? What is it a metaphor for?
The shack is a metaphor for the heart and the soul of a human being. It's what I like to call the house on the inside that people help you build. And, we all have a soul. We all have a heart. And a lot of us did not get good help building it. So our foundations are not straight, and the floorboards are rotting, and there's sewage leaking in the basement. And it becomes a house on the inside of shame and pain, and that's where we store all of our addictions, and we hide all of our secrets. And so it becomes a place that we don't want anybody in, because we are so disgusted with it, so full of shame. And we don't want God to come really in there, and so we then become performers. We build a little facade outside that we can paint as fast as we can pick up people's expectations, and that becomes the way that we operate because we're so ashamed. And for those of us especially who've got abuse in their histories, who've had very difficult relationships with their father or mother, or they didn't have father or mother, there's just so many tragedy, sickness, so many things can damage the heart and the soul of a human being. So that's in a nutshell the picture of what the shack is. And Mackenzie had to go back into the shack. He had to find that God was in there, that God wasn't in love with the performance, no matter how good it was. But who God loved was Mackenzie, the shack itself, the soul.
Paul, why a murder of a child? What is the symbolic meaning of that?
The murder of a child represents the greatest loss a human being can experience, the loss between a parent and a child. There is no greater grief than the loss between a parent and a child. And I think it's because it most closely matches the way we're created in the image of God. The deepest place in the heart of God, the character of God, is an other-centered love between persons. And that's why the Trinity is so important to me. So before there's time, space, and matter, there is a relationship in which three persons are full of other-centered love, not selfless love, but other-centered love, where the self really becomes significant and remains individual and alive and real. And the closest we come as human beings is the way we love our children, to that other-centered love. With that depth comes the greatest possibility of pain and loss. So that loss represents the greatest pain, and the greatest pain asks the best questions. If God cannot show up in this kind of loss, then we're just playing some kind of religious game.
Paul, you mentioned the Trinity. How did you come up with the way you portrayed the characters in the story, the representation of each, and even the names that you gave them?
Well, Jesus was easy. He's always been the easy member of the Trinity, because becoming human and being fully human and having the name Jesus, lots more easily identifiable. God the Father, a little bit more difficult. The Holy Spirit was even more enigmatic. But I really love the reality of this relationship that exists between Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And so when I was trying to put it into the storyline, I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I want to present God the Father? And I wanted to get away from Gandalf with an attitude as far as possible, because that sort of represents the way I grew up. Immovable, unreachable, untouchable, unknowable, unemotional, unreally involved. God watching from the infinite distance of a disapproving heart. And so having God emerge and mix the metaphors, a large black African-American woman named Papa, really worked for me to try to push the reality that God is not male or female. And Papa's very clear about that. And Mackenzie's got such damage in his relationship with the men who have been in his life that that's a huge block. And so God doesn't wait for Mackenzie to kind of figure it out and get healthy enough so that he can relate to God. God comes to find Mackenzie in a way that Mackenzie can embrace, and that's Papa. The Holy Spirit, for a lot of people, has been sort of not even person, but mist or ghost or force, something impersonal. And I don't believe that. I believe the Holy Spirit is fully person and fully equal and involved inside the relationship of Father-Son. And so, I grew up in Asia, and I've grown up with a lot of Asian women. And so the Asian women have a tendency to stay in the background, which kind of like the Holy Spirit. not promote themselves, but they always show up where you don't expect them, and they know everything. And so the Asian persona fit really well for me. And then the name, Sarayu, was off of a conversation on Skype when I was working for a web conferencing company with a woman named Geetika Prabhu in India. And I was looking for a name for the Holy Spirit the day that she was looking for a web conferencing solution, and we ended up on Skype, the only time I ever was on Skype when working for that company. And I asked her for a list of words for the wind, and she gave me Sarayu as one of them. And when I asked her what it meant, she said, Sarayu is the common wind that catches you by surprise. And when I said, are you kidding? She said, really? She says, yeah, it's like when you're so hot you think you're going to die, and suddenly out of nowhere comes this wind that cools you down and changes everything. And that gave me a name.
And there are no coincidences, Paul.
To me, coincidence has a name, and we're surrounded by them. I think there is a God who is good all the time, who works purpose out with what we bring to the table and is involved in the details of our lives.
The book is The Shack by William Paul Young. If you would like to get more information about the book or Paul and his work, you can visit williampaulyoung.com. That's williampaulyoung.com. Paul, in 30 seconds or less, what do you want to leave our listeners with? What is your message?
Oh, wow. 30 seconds. There is a God who is good all the time, who's involved in the details of our lives, who is never the author of the damage, never the author of the destruction, but has promised to show up in the middle of it, inside relationship, and climb in our shacks after including us in their affection and begin to heal us from the inside.
Paul, thank you so much for being here with us today. I am so excited about the release of your movie, The Shack. I've been waiting a long time for it, and I wish you much continued success.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Hi, this is Joan Herman, host of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Did you know that Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life has a free monthly digital magazine that can be read online or emailed to your inbox? Every month, nationally recognized leaders in their field provide information to educate, inspire, and motivate you. We believe in a holistic approach to life, incorporating mind, body, and spirit. Check out a copy of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life 24/7. Visit cyacyl.com and be sure to tell your friends. Thank you for joining us. I hope you found the show informative. At Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life, we believe that knowledge is power. Take what you've learned, apply it, and live your best life now. Remember that the information provided are the opinions of our guests and should never replace the advice of a professional who knows your personal situation. If you'd like more information, visit our website, cyacyl.com. While on the site, listen to past shows on demand, read our digital magazine, take part in the book club, check out our team, and be sure to follow the show on social media. Until next time, this is Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.